At this time of year, you should almost expect that 99.9% of the videos on the channel are going to be transfer ones, and today is no different. I'm going to be taking a look at 2 transfer targets for Wrexham Football Club, 2 players that Wrexham is set to pursue in the final few weeks of the transfer window, 2 very different areas of the pitch and 2 areas of the pitch that I think Wrexham really do need to get in competition and depth in those areas. So they're 2 very interesting ones that we're going to be having an in-depth look at, and we're also going to be looking at the situation of a key player in a key area of the pitch, which has been going on for far too long. It's been a saga that's been going on all summer, and it looks as if Phil Parkinson is going to make a final decision on this. So before we get going in today's video, if you would like to see more Wrexham AFC content, I say it in every video, make sure to get down there and click that subscribe button. On the road to 29,000 subscribers, we're awfully close to hitting it. We're like 130 away, so anyone watching this, you like this style of content and you're not subscribed, please consider doing so. It's free to make an account. This video is brought to you by Holy. You can use my first link in the description down below to get yourself some big discounts. Every new customer really does help me and helps the channel grow even further, and behind the scenes it really does help me grow, so any new customers would be massively appreciated. Take a look. My personal preference, I've said it in so many videos, is the hazelnut milkshake. Without further ado, let's get taking a look at the first target. So Wrexham's quest to sign a goalkeeper continues, as it has done for I'd say the past 2 months now, as we've reportedly inquired about Ipswich Town shot stopper Alex Palmer, who's currently valued at £3.5 million by the newly promoted Premier League side. Now, before we get talking about Alex Palmer and his career today and what he could bring to this Wrexham team, I think it is going to be important that I bring to you what Phil Parkinson has had to say on the goalkeeping position. And the current situation in the #1 spot is up in limbo at the minute. It could be Danny Ward, it could be Arthur Okonkwo, it could be a new signing. It's still undecided, and it is quite worrying because at the time of this video, we're just a week away from the start of the Championship season, and Wrexham still don't know who's going to be the #1 goalkeeper. I would say it's between 3 different options. Now, in an interview, Phil Parkinson said Danny Ward was great versus Liverpool. He was exceptional. Arthur's done well the other day. Callum, when he's come in, has done brilliant. He's a very important part of the group. We'll just assess it on a game-to-game basis. Now, what we can gather from there is he's a big fan of Danny Ward. I think we can get that from Phil Parkinson. Over the course of last season, he started the season and he ended the season in goal. 2 very important stages of the season. Phil Parkinson is a Danny Ward fan, and of course it seems like he loves Callum Burton as well, so it's evident that those 2 are going to stick in the group for Wrexham this season. And he's not had a lot to say on Arthur Okonkwo, and I obviously like to see everyone get an opportunity. That's what pre-season's for. It's good to see these goalkeepers get minutes in the legs, but for the love of God, I would wish we would just commit to 1 goalkeeper for being that #1 spot for potentially the opening game of the season. I don't want all of this questioning regarding the goalkeeping position. We're nearing the start of the season and we can't go into it chopping and changing between Danny Ward, between Arthur Okonkwo, between a potential new signing. It's important that whatever business needs to be done in that goalkeeping role, we do it now before the stage of the season and in the upcoming days. Like I just said, having seen how Phil Parkinson did speak on those 3 goalkeepers, I can see it being Arthur Okonkwo who would make way for a potential new signing, just given the fact that he had so high praise for the likes of Ward and Callum Burton, and considering their ages as well. Burton's turning 30 in a couple of days, Danny Ward has just turned 33. They're not goalkeepers that are going to have incredibly high stocks or a lot of interest surrounding them, whereas Arthur Okonkwo, he's 24 years old, he could have a high resale value, possibly between £3-4 million, so I can't see those going anywhere this summer. But if Phil Parkinson was to bring the likes of Alex Palmer, Anthony Patterson in, I do think Arthur would leave to free up that space for him. So enough of the goalkeeping waffle, let's take a look at Alex Palmer now. Palmer is a 30-year-old 6'3" shot stopper who's currently contracted to Premier League side Ipswich Town. Last season, Palmer only started 10 league games in the Championship, and in those games that he did start, they won 3, drew 4 and lost 3. I think he did suffer an injury at home to Charlton Athletic in that 3-0 defeat, and ever since then he has really struggled to get back in the side. He started the season off in goal, played the first 10 league games, and then ever since then really struggled to get back in the starting lineup, which is a shame because I do think he is a good goalkeeper. And I think over the past 2 seasons, you're looking at this, when he did sign for Ipswich in the Premier League, he started 23 games across those 2 seasons, and obviously replacing Arthur Okonkwo, who started 38 games last season, kept 9 clean sheets, with a goalkeeper who's only started 10 league games and hasn't started a game in the league for I'd probably say 6-7 months, opposed to him who's obviously only kept 1 clean sheet and a limited number of games isn't really appealing to Wrexham fans. Despite the lack of game time for Alex Palmer and being an avid fan of English football, the Championship, the Premier League, you do keep a close eye on, especially players that go up from the Championship to the Prem, and I think Alex Palmer being sat on the bench every week for Ipswich Town, especially in the Championship, the Premier League, understandable, but in the Championship, it is a huge waste. He left West Brom after a very good season. Those 30 games that he did play across the board of the 23-24 season for the Baggies, he was really good. He got that move to a Premier League side, and I bet he thought at the time, this is going to be good, this is the start of my career, this is where I'm going to get regular game time, and ever since then, it's not really worked out for him, and I think he left at a peak age as well, a peak stage of his career to go and kick on and, just play as many minutes as you can. And he went in as a number 2 at, like I said, the most important stage. However, it looks as if he's looking to revive his career, get his career back on track, get those regular minutes every single week in the Championship, and he's looking to be a starter. And do you know what? Even if we keep Arthur Okonkwo or not, I would love to see Alex Palmer come into the building at Wrexham, because I think he's got the fundamentals to be a number 1 goalkeeper at this level. In terms of what you can expect from Alex Palmer, he's experienced, he's got all the attributes, I think, to be a starter in this division. Whether he can be a starter for a Wrexham team that wants to get promoted to the Premier League is another question. He's a good shot stopper, his positioning is sound, and I think the main thing being that we lacked with Arthur Okonkwo at times last season is his commanding behaviour inside the box. He's good from crosses, he's vocal, and he can organise and structure the defence really well, which I think is one of the main reasons why Phil Parkinson is looking to bring in an experienced head into that number 1 spot. We need someone that's going to be vocal, command the defence. We saw a couple of times last season Arthur Okonkwo a bit hesitant to come out for balls, and when he did come out, he wasn't all too confident. So I think there are a few tweaks that Arthur needs to make if he does want to be number 1 goalkeeper in the Championship. So I think it is interesting. It's a really interesting situation because it's one that's been going on for far too long, and I'm so surprised at this stage of the season, going into this Carabao Cup game. As I'm filming this, our Carabao Cup game against Middlesbrough is tonight. I am so surprised that we haven't sorted this goalkeeper situation out by now. Now, if we are looking at Palmer, £3.5 million price tag is what the Tractor Boys have put on him, and I don't think that's a bad price at all. But the one thing about this is that it means our 3 keepers will be 30, 30 and 33 going into the opening game of the season. Now, I'm all for an experienced goalkeeper. I think at this level it's really important that you do have experience in every area of the pitch, but you are looking at goalkeepers in terms of, like I said before, Okonkwo and Palmer, who's going to have that high resale value, who's going to have that room and that capacity to really just develop in this team and, become a £10 million plus shot stopper. I think there's more chance of Arthur becoming that, but Parky wants an experienced head in number 1, and he's obviously not 100% sure with Arthur in goal going into this season. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Would you look at bringing a new goalkeeper in? We've also learned as well that Wrexham is still interested in Sunderland goalkeeper Anthony Patterson. They've still got that £8 million price tag on him, so I think if Wrexham do want a new goalkeeper, it's either spend 3.5 on Alex Palmer or potentially going for that loan move for Anthony Patterson. But either way, I think we can expect a goalkeeper to come in. Speaking next on the possibility of bringing a new striker into the club, Daniel Jebbison, that is the name that we're going to be talking about. Wrexham are one of several clubs interested in making a move for the 22-year-old AFC Bournemouth striker. He's wanted by a host of clubs across England, of course, Wrexham from Wales, Italy, Genoa, Hamburg from Germany. He's a striker that's in hot demand and is wanted by a whole host of clubs across the world. Now, if we are looking at Daniel Jebbison, he spent last season on loan at Preston North End in the Championship, which proved to be one of his best goal-scoring seasons to date. I think it was his second best goal-scoring season after his spell at Burton Albion, where he did score 9 goals. Now, you're probably thinking, what's he scored, 15, 20 goals? He registered 6 goals in 38 games, and that is his second best season to date in front of goal. Now, I think that is a main concern. I think it's a big concern surrounding Daniel Jebbison's game, and I think the main concern as well is the fact that he's only scored 20 goals in 132 games across his professional career. I think the most recent years of the 5-6 seasons have been so disappointing for him in front of goal, and last season was the real chance that he did get to kick on. And yeah, okay, he scored 6 goals, he had a decent spell, but you're in a team in a front line where you're surrounded by very good players, and I still think he could have got a lot more goals to his name. I think he could have reached double digits, but he's just lacking that sharpness in front of goal, that instincts of a striker, the fox in the box, you could say. And don't get me wrong, Daniel Jebbison's turning 23 in a couple of days' time, and he's got room to improve, and he's still got years ahead of him. But if we want a striker in that's going to match the the numbers that Sam Smith and Kiefer Moore produced last season, both got double digits, then I can't see it being Daniel Jebbison. I think we need to raise the ceiling and get a better option. And if we are to bring in Daniel Jebbison, I can't see him knocking out Moore or Sam Smith in the starting 11. I could see him being a third choice striker. Now, if we're looking at his situation at Bournemouth, he's reportedly had a very good pre-season for the Cherries. I think he scored a goal against St. Pauli the other day, and I think Bournemouth as well are wanting him to leave the club on a permanent deal. So it has all the pointers towards Bournemouth, holding his stocks high. He's had a good pre-season. They want to get him out on a permanent deal. They're going to massively overprice Daniel Jebbison, and I think that's something that a lot of clubs are going to be wary of. They're going to see how he did last season, how he's performed in pre-season, and be like, we can stick another £3 to £4 million on his name. And in my opinion, not to sound harsh or anything, but he is bang average at best. He is not the solution that Wrexham Football Club need if we want to bring in another striker to the forward line. They're going to demand, I would say, at least £6-7 million for him, which is not what you want to be paying for Jebbison, who scored 20 goals in his professional career. Now, if we are looking at Jebbison, I do think, however, this is the type of striker, his attributes are the ones that I think Phil Parkinson should be looking to bring into this Wrexham front line. Now, looking at him as a striker, he's a relatively quick one despite his height. He can press the ball really well, he can press the defence, make those runs between the lines, and his movement to stretch the defensive line is said to be one of his main attributes. Whether he's incredible at that or not, I really don't know. I'm not too sure on that, but the attributes are those of a striker that we really do want in this Wrexham setup. But I don't think he carries those attributes to come in and be a regular for us. As I've just said, I do think we need a new striker. Wrexham Football Club are in need of a new striker. We've got Cadamartri, we've got Sam Smith, we've got Kiefer Moore, we've got these options up front, but I think we're just lacking that player that is a completely different profile to what we do already have. Parky, don't get me wrong, he loves those hold-up strikers, those tall strikers who are strong, do the dirty work up front. I just think we need to mix it up. I do think we need a new profile up front, someone that can offer constant pressing, make those clever runs between the lines, unease the defence, and just be one that is going to rat around for 90 minutes, press the defence, like I said, do the dirty work that maybe Kiefer Moore can't do, to allow him to, come onto the pitch, final 20 minutes, be a nuisance and just win us the game. So I think it is going to be interesting. I think we should be looking at a couple of really good targets in terms of goal scoring ability and what they can offer to this front line. However, I can't back the idea of bringing Daniel Jebbison into this Wrexham team, just for a number of different reasons. I don't think he's the answer in terms of his goal scoring record, his goal scoring ability in the Championship, and just a lot of different reasons. And I think the main one being how high Bournemouth will price him at because of his pre-season and how he did last year. And it's important that Wrexham don't fall in that trap. So that is it for today's video. If you did enjoy, make sure to drop a like, make sure to get down there as well and click the red subscribe button. Like I said, we're on the road to 29,000 subscribers. I cannot thank you enough for all the support you've shown the channel. I think it's so easy to forget the people that watch these videos, and it's so easy to just get used to this continuous pattern of, producing videos, seeing the likes, seeing the views, etc. But a video doesn't go by where I don't think how lucky I am and how fortunate I am to be reporting to thousands of people every single day about the football club I love. I've loved Wrexham Football Club for as long as I can remember. The 2012 season, I've been going week in, week out. So to have this privilege of bringing you this news and to have thousands that are watching me, listening to what I think is my boring voice every single video, I'm just so appreciative of. So I cannot thank you enough for that. Keep up the continued support because it's massively appreciated. And until the next one, take care guys, up the Championship Reds.